All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome. See if I can make all this stuff work correctly. It's good to see you here. I'm Rob Booker. Welcome. I am recording this to the best of my ability. What a day out there, right? What a week out there. What a couple of weeks. We're in the midst of a lot of news right now, and it may cause some uncertainty, and uncertainty often leads to losses or problems in one's trading account. So what I've done is here, I've pulled up the old Bloomberg on the side here, and you can't see that monitor, but I'm going to follow some news. We're going to watch the headlines, and you're going to, hopefully today you're going to get some clarity. We're gonna bounce around some ideas, and hopefully that's going to help you protect yourself and maybe even take advantage of some opportunities, and then also be able to help other people as well. My friend Jeffrey is here, and in a few moments I'm going to invite him to take part and join us as well. So Jeffrey, thank you for being here, and I do see you here, and I will make you a panelist as well. So it's good to have you here with us. And we are going to try to record every moment of this, and I've already got the recording going, but it's going to take a little bit longer than usual to get this put together. So I am looking at the wrong Jeffrey here in the, well, he's gone. That Jeffrey's gone. So let's try to find him again and see if we can, there we go, make him a panelist, promote to panelist. Okay, so Jeffrey's going to be a panelist. I'm going to look at some headlines. I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully we're going to get some clarity here. And as you can see here, I'm going to share, so this is how I'm following the news here. You can see, hopefully you can see that on the screen. So I'm following the news on the Bloomberg terminal. And then what I've got ready to go here is I've got a little slide presentation. So let's just fire that bad boy up and talk a little bit. So my name is Rob Booker. If you're new to the world of trading that I do, it's nice to meet you. I'm glad that you're here. We're going to spend about 20 or 30 minutes together. Hopefully every minute of this broadcast will be packed with information that you can use. It's February 24th, 2022. And here are the headlines, right? Russia launches invasion of Ukraine. Biden set to speak. It looks like right now the latest update is that Russia is attempting to seize control of Chernobyl. As far as I'm concerned, they can have it. I don't know. Did you watch Tenet? Did you guys watch that? Are you trying to move forward and backward in time? I don't know. This is craziness. We live in a day and age where it just seems like the responsible thing to do is not invade another country. Like, don't invade your next door neighbor country. Californians, don't move to Texas. Like, it just seems obvious. Just stay where you are and don't invade other places. But it does appear to be a concept difficult to grasp. And if you've always wanted that Eastern European country right next door that has a blown up, melted down nuclear reactor, today, I guess, was the day to get it. And my heart goes out to those of you that have friends, family, or loved ones in Ukraine. We're going to try to do something to maybe help out. I've got friends who have friends there, and this is just, I don't want to take away from that. This is madness. And hopefully world leaders will come to their senses and this can calm down. But I'm going to do what I can here. Number one, today, I'm going to look for a way to make a donation. So if you've got any ideas on where I can make a donation, I would like your ideas on that. Second of all, the way that I can help is share with you some ideas on how to protect your portfolio and how to protect yourself, and maybe how to buy great stocks on a dip, because that's exactly what is happening right now. And then maybe answer some questions as we go. All of this is without a sales pitch of any kind. I'm not here to sell you anything. In fact, if you could do anything for me today at all, it would be listen to my brand new podcast. So after years of sort of going silent on the podcast situation, I'm back. And I've got a couple episodes up already. I call it the Rob Booker Trading Show. It's absolutely free. It's unsponsored. And you can go to robbooker.xyz. That's a real link. And if you scroll down the page, there will be a link to the podcast. And I just set that up really quickly this morning. I used an old page that I had and reformatted some stuff. But you can go to robbooker.xyz, and if you scroll down on the page, you will see the podcast there. I hope you'll give it a listen. That would mean the world to me. It's free. That would mean a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. So here we go. What most people are doing right now is dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria, right? Remember in Ghostbusters where there is no Dana, only Zool. Remember that? And Gozer the Destroyer came along, and everybody just started freaking out, and that's a big Twinkie. Well, that's pretty much what's going on right now. People are panicking. Investors are panicking. You saw it. I mean, it shows up in the charts. If you look at the S&P 500, you look at the Russell index, you can see it dropped overnight, started to recover. But there's a lot of confusion and uncertainty in the markets are really bad for prices. So some folks are closing everything. And then others are chasing the big one. And I don't think any of this is a good idea. Here's what I think are pretty good ideas, and here's what you could be doing right now. You could buy some crash protection. I will show you how to do that today. You could buy some great stocks that are on sale. I'll try to show you how to do that today as well. You could start trying to generate more passive income so that these types of situations don't throw you off. One of the big problems I find right now with traders is we live in a world where we're trying to do too much. And we're trying to take too many trades, we're trying to follow too many gurus, we're trying to do too many things all at once. And it might be a good idea to consider, along with me in 2022, just calm it down and do less and become more consistent. And I know that's easier said than done for some. And I want to describe some ways that you could possibly look into doing that over the course of the next few months or the next year or for the rest of your trading career. And then the third thing, which I think is probably the most important thing that we can do, is look for ways to help people in need. This is a time when a lot of us look inward and we're worried about protecting the ones that we love, and I get that. And then again, we forget sometimes we live in a country, most of us, where we don't have the threat of an invasion, and we live with problems where we think that the liberals are trying to take away our guns, or we think that the conservatives are trying to take away all our rights, and then we argue with each other, and we make that the biggest deal in the world, instead of maybe taking out your neighbor's garbage cans or dropping off some food at the food bank, and maybe reach out to somebody with whom you've disagreed in the past and apologize and take the higher road. We live in a world where conflict is maybe the first thing that we think of. And hopefully we come around to thinking that. So last week when a lot of this happened, I reached out to an old friend that I had distanced myself from, and I had caused some problems. And I reached out to that person and I extended my hand in friendship again, and I apologized for my part in that. And I'm just trying in my own life here to also just think about the bigger picture. It's not just about trading stocks, and it's not just about trying to make money. Long after all of this is over and all of this stock market stuff is done, we're going to have our relationships and our friendships. And so today, like I said, I don't want to sell you anything. I don't want to do any sales pitches. I just want to bring you some content that hopefully helps out. And I have a long history over the last 20 years of saying when we become better people, we become better traders. And I'm trying to do that myself. I got a lot of work to do in that area myself. So we're going to focus on some headlines, and then we're going to focus on some stuff that's going on. So what I'd like to do to start things off is take a look at the big picture here. So this is the Russell 2000. It's the small cap stock stuff. And this got annihilated overnight, but it really didn't do anything worse than what it did when the Fed announced that it would start raising interest rates, or when the specter of higher interest rates sort of seized control of the collective psyche. I'm going to draw some stuff on the chart here, and hopefully it's going to make a little bit of sense. And to do that, I'm going to hopefully be able to, hopefully I'm going to be able to do this. So I've got this bar at the bottom of my screen usually, and my Windows little taskbar thing sort of disappeared. So I'm just going to draw this here. So if I draw a neckline on a sort of a head and shoulders, so a shoulder head, shoulder. If I draw that, and I draw a line from the neckline down, right? And then I take that line that measures the neckline and the head. If I do that, and then I bring that down, we've already broken the head and shoulders, and we've already dropped all the way in what would be a measured move. So the first thing that I want to say is there is a chance that we have bottomed out. There is a possibility and a chance that we have bottomed out. And what I would like to do right now is invite Jeffrey, if you want to unmute your microphone and maybe say a few words about that. We're going to give you a chance to share your charts as well in a minute if you'd like. What do you think about that statement?
Well, I mean, I've been chatting with you for weeks now, and I had expected a lower low today in the broader market, not just IWM. And then we might take off from there. And our friend and CEO Morgan sent us both a chart that showed how invasions can be bullish. And I think that maybe we were panicking, and the market's been in a panic for a while now. And now that we have clarity, we can see an all clear.
That is a really great point. So Morgan, a friend of ours and the CEO of our entire company, sent a chart today, a set of charts. Jeffrey, if you have that, and if you don't mind popping that over on Telegram to me, I might pop open Telegram and share that with everybody here. I didn't want to open the company Slack and give everybody all my intercompany communications, but let's see, Jeffrey's going to post that in maybe just a moment here. I think that's an important point, Jeffrey, is that sometimes at the moment of the most amount of panic, things might be done. So don't forget that stocks rally on the invasion as highlighted below. 5 of 5 times, stocks bottom just before the invasion, 6 months prior, 2 months prior shaded in gray, and then 18 months after. So we could have a rough ride over the next few days, Jeffrey. Certainly some up and down would be expected, but then
volatility.
Yeah, and you got a double whammy here, I think, that over the last, I think it's 10 interest rate hike cycles, 9 out of 10 or something along those lines, have been bullish for the market because the interest rate increases and those cycles tend to reflect the fact that the Fed believes the economy is strong. That could be a double whammy. Maybe I'm Mr. Silver Lining here, Jeffrey, but this may be a buying opportunity that we look back on and we regret not taking advantage of because we were frightened. Not you and me, but in general.
I definitely believe we're coming up on a tremendous opportunity, and all indications that I follow say that we're about to kick off an epic bullish run in the markets. Yeah. Despite all what seems like horrible situation worldwide right now.
Yeah. And I think a lot of folks, okay, so first of all, a lot of people woke up today and they can't believe what's happening. And I'm one of those people. And that shock and that uncertainty is what was already priced in. So Wall Street's pretty good at selling the rumor or buying the rumor or making a big move on the rumor. It's like the interest rate hike hasn't happened yet, but the market reaction to it has already happened. The invasion started to happen, and in its very early stages, and even before that, the markets got weak. But then once we have certainty, the market tends to naturally sort of correct its overcorrection. Let me talk about just what that means. Uncertainty is bad for the market. So traders, investors, especially Wall Street people, Wall Street hates uncertainty. It loves certainty. And now that we know what's going on, we can factor in what's actually happening. And that's why you can see a rebound at a time like this. Okay. Jeffrey, we'll come back to you in a moment. But what I'd like to look at right now, and Jeffrey, your thoughts on this will be welcome. I'll spend a moment sort of previewing this idea, and then would love for you to chime in and just give your thoughts and whatever else. For those of you that don't know Jeffrey, if you want to also telegram me a link to your website, people can get more familiar with you by going there as well. All right, this is the UVXY. This is a leveraged ETF based on the VIX, the volatility index. The volatility index tends to go up or spike when the markets are in turmoil and when volatility increases. Generally speaking, the VIX goes up during a crash, but it's really not just about crashes, it's about increases in volatility. That's why the VIX overnight jumped, and the UVXY, which is a leveraged form of the VIX, jumped as well. If you are concerned about your trades and you're holding some stuff long-term, let's say you've been holding Tesla and it's been in a pretty deep slide. It hit 700, which was my bottoming out number, for example. But maybe Tesla's not done. Maybe you're worried that Tesla's not done. It's hit my old missed pivot target that I had. I did a webinar about this a few weeks ago. Well, maybe you want to buy Tesla. Maybe you feel like Tesla's prospects are pretty damn good and you want to be in on it, but you're worried and you think, well, gosh, like I'm not going to dip my toe in the water at a time when everything is so uncertain. Here's what you could do. You can buy a little bit. I wouldn't try to make this into a giant trade. Jeffrey and I had two of the biggest trades of our entire careers 2 years ago around this exact time. It may be actually around this exact time. Jeffrey made, I think it was around $800,000. I had one of the biggest trades I've ever taken. It was about a $29,000 trade. And it was on this financial instrument. And we turned a crisis into a big trade. I don't think that's what's happening here necessarily, but I do think you could do the following, and I'll write this down on the slides. Crash protection. And Jeffrey, I'm just going to mention a couple of things and you can get more specific if you like. You can buy some shares of UVXY. I'm not here to give you personalized trading advice, anyone. So you could buy some shares of the UVXY. If I had $1,000 worth of Tesla, I might buy $100 worth of UVXY. Why would I do it that way? Because the UVXY can double and triple in value while Tesla loses 10 or 20% at the most. That's why. So I don't need to buy an equal amount of UVXY relative to the shares of Tesla, because UVXY over time tends to fall, not rise, and it only rises rapidly for short periods of time. You could also buy some UVXY calls, and I would say 30 to 60 days till expiration, and near the money, at the money, somewhere in the neighborhood of the $21, $22 mark, something that expires mid-March. I would probably prefer something that expires in April or even May. Jeffrey, you have thoughts about that?
Those are going to be pricey right now, just given the environment we're in with this, large overnight gap down and a gap up in UVXY right there. The market knows that people are going to be playing volatility and trying to protect themselves. So the calls are going to be extra pricey in particular.
Yeah.
So you're a little bit late on the call buying, but the shares are still an opportunity.
Right. So I agree with everything that Jeffrey said. And the only reason I would be buying calls for protection right now is if I were really, really worried, because they are pricey. So it's going to take a lot of extra movement, more than usual, to have those calls pay off. If you were a member of our trade room or our groups or whatever, we talked a little bit about buying calls yesterday. And even though they were a little bit expensive yesterday, they paid off overnight. And I've already closed those calls, and those are done. And I didn't buy any more as crash protection right now. The other thing that you can do if you are interested in some crash protection, but you don't want to get too aggressive, you could buy some UVXY, like 100 shares, and sell one UVXY call. You could even sell the one that expires tomorrow because it's pricey right now, so you're going to have a little bit of extra premium in the $22, $23 strike area, and you could make some premium and still have some shares of the UVXY in case the UVXY goes up. I did this last week and I did that this week. Last week I did this covered call scenario. The UVXY jumped so much, I made $170 on my one contract, and I lost $28 on my call. I just closed the whole thing before it even expired. And I just put on a very similar trade this morning. I did the same thing. I bought I think I only did 100 shares in one contract. And so it still gives me some exposure to the UVXY. If it jumps to $22 or $23, I still make a couple dollars per share, and then I lose the shares. They get called away, and I still get to keep that premium. And so it's kind of a way to get some exposure to the UVXY without sort of jumping in, Jeffrey, and just going hog wild and saying, I'm going to make $1 million just like Jeffrey, because I don't think that same opportunity exists necessarily right now.
Yeah, I'm not so sure it exists either, but out of the 3 trades you've got on the screen right there, I definitely favor the third one over the first 2.
Okay, so I'm down for that too. Next on my list is buy great stocks that are on sale. And this is where a lot of people get screwed up. It's scary awesome to do this. So if you loved your neighbor's house next door and your neighbor got a job offer that was so incredible that they had to immediately sell their house, so they listed it just to you, and they said, I'll give you a 10% discount off of the the estimated price of this home because I gotta unload it now for cash. And if you had the money, you'd be crazy not to just buy the home and flip it right away. You'd be crazy not to do that. And that could be said for a lot of other things in life. Now's the time to start thinking about stocks that you love, and they're going to be different for everyone, but I want to give you some names that you might want to look at that are longer term names that are possibly in line to benefit from current circumstances and current stuff going on that might be on sale. Now, all of these, every single one of these that I mentioned are not trade recommendations. They're ones I like. They could be absolutely pure garbage. And I'm not going to make any promises that you're going to get a return on any of these things, but I'm going to walk through 4 of them for you right now. So I like Tesla here. Tesla's a tough one because Tesla's price to earnings ratio is 156. Nobody cares about the price to earnings ratio when the stock is climbing to all-time highs. They go, oh, that's just indicative of any stock that's just great. So Tesla's a little bit pricey on the price to earnings ratio. I probably will regret someday, not doing it, but I'm not gonna buy any Tesla right now. I'm gonna start backwards and I'm gonna start with Palantir. Palantir is in a downward slide. This is the company founded by Peter Thiel and whatever, and it's a big defense contractor, and it does a lot of data analysis, and its services have the potential to be in higher demand during times of conflict. I also think that this stock has potential in the long run to be bought. This is a $22 billion company, and it would fit in nicely with a lot of other software-based government contractors, and it is eventually a potential takeover target. The other thing going in our favor now, it has 3 monthly pivots in a row that have not yet been hit, and this is incredibly rare. This is a circumstance that rarely happens, and then there is generally a return to the mean. And I think that Palantir is at least a $14.50 stock, if not also a $19 or $20 stock, if not higher than that. I have no guarantees on this. I can't promise you that you're going to make any money from this, but it's one that I like. Another one that I like is SoFi. SoFi is sort of the new age of modern finance, and it is a very volatile stock that jumps up and goes down. It is a $7 billion market cap, a reasonably recent IPO. They have banking, crypto trading, regular trading, savings accounts, mortgages, and they started with student loan refinancing. They have a lot of products. I'm a customer, and I own the stock. I'm a customer because it was the easiest thing in the world to move money around, open the account, and they pay a higher interest rate than most other places. At a $7 billion market cap, I think SoFi over the course of the next 12 to 24 months is an acquisition target. I think SoFi is a $20 stock. I think that means it's a $14 billion company. I think its potential to release products and services that are appealing to a younger generation that do not like traditional banks. I think this is a very appealing name. Now, they don't make any money and they're not profitable yet. And there's all kinds of risks involved. They could get their bank charter denied and they could go down in price another $5. They could lose 50%. However, this is a stock that is definitely on sale right now if you like it. I'm going to mention one that I didn't list there on the sheet. Apple. If you love Apple, Apple is definitely on sale, and it's very close to its 200-day simple moving average. Problem with Apple for me is it's still got a missed monthly pivot down in the 147 area, and then it's got another one down at 132. And Apple has enjoyed its day in the sun. And Apple's one of those companies that when people start to pile on it, it's very similar to Facebook getting piled on. When they start to pile on it, people really give it a hard time. So I wouldn't be a buyer necessarily of Apple right now. I love the company. I own every product they've ever made. But I just don't think, I think Apple and Facebook, it's the tall poppy syndrome. You know, that's a phrase that the tallest poppies get cut. And Apple's a very high profile company, and it will attract attention, and it will attract short sellers at some point in time. I would just be concerned about that. Another name that I like is Occidental Petroleum. Gosh, this is a chart that looks a lot different than the ones we just looked at. So Occidental Petroleum has been in an upward trend. It is currently unprofitable. It's $35 billion market cap. And, you know, I think oil's big. I think oil in a lot of different forms is big. And I think this is a name that could move up. I think it needs to drop first. And I think if tensions ease, you're going to find this stock dropping as oil comes down from $100 a barrel. But then I think it's a buy opportunity. And most of these dips down to the 200 period simple moving average are quickly corrected. And I don't think it's even necessarily going to get to the 200-day simple moving average. I think there's a possibility that it gets down to this missed monthly pivot at $35. And I think there's a possibility that it jumps from there. And I'll be a buyer at that level. And then last of all, CVS. CVS is also selling off, and it's also in an upward trend. It's also on the way down to and almost hitting a missed monthly pivot. I think it could get a little bit lower than that and overshoot the target. And it does this a lot. It'll overshoot the target. So it'll drop through a monthly pivot and then bounce. Sometimes it bounces right on it, but generally it'll drop through it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we drop through that monthly pivot down to, 96 or so, and then jump from there. CVS is on the forefront of making money in the modern age of medical care. And they're a reasonably well-managed company that does make money, $6 a share. It's got a $130 billion market cap, and it's got a really respectable price to earnings ratio of 17. And this is one that when it dips, I'm going to buy shares of CVS, and I'm going to put it in my forget about it, my Joey Tribbiani, forget about it. How you doing? I'm going to put it in that account, and then I'm not going to look at it for a considerable amount of time. Now, with that said, I'm going to do two things here. I'm going to show you Jeffrey's website for those of you that haven't met Jeffrey. This is Jeffrey. This is his website, jeffreytrader.com. And then, Jeffrey, I'm going to go back over to the charts here.
I want to give
you
you
What are your thoughts about buying stocks that go on sale when there's market disruption? Yeah,
it creates a special opportunity. Being the one that can face adversity, the adversity is everybody's running scared, the market's dropping. If you can face that adversity with confidence, then you're in a unique position to take advantage of that opportunity when others are running for the exits. And my pick I would throw into your list here is Lima Alpha Charlie, LAC, Lithium Americas Corp. If you want to bring that one up. Is a whole different sector than anything you talked about. It kind of related to Tesla, I guess, but I feel like this one has some long-term potential also.
It really does. Is this a supply chain for batteries kind of play? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we have mutual friends that think that battery powered cars are stupid. I have neighbors that live in my building that go, what are you going to do when there's a hurricane? I'm like, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the gas station? Do you think gas station doesn't require you to have electricity? You think those gas pumps work without electricity? Like I'm going to use my cars to cook my food if I want. So anyway, I'm a big proponent. I know they're wasteful, and I know there's problems with the environment, blah, 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 blah. But I think with so many vehicle manufacturers releasing EVs over the coming 10 years or whatever, it's an irreversible trend. It's incontrovertible, barring some kind of stunning news or a meteor that hits the earth that has a ton of battery ingredients in it. I love a bounce off of the 200-day simple moving average. I love it. And maybe even down to at $18, Jeffrey, I'm going to back up the truck.
Yeah. I mean, this one's a long-term play. It's not like, this is not a day trading type situation. This is one that you're going to get in and you're going to hold it for a while if you're going to get into it.
People talk about peak oil. That used to be a big phrase. There's peak lithium. Like there is a diminishing supply of this. So, right, or whatever, like goes into the battery. So there's going to be a day when this stuff becomes more expensive. And I think there's also just the psychological component to it that we are not the only people that will one day realize that this is going to have to go up.
Right.
And more and more people are going to, people who traded Tesla in the past for quick gains, I think are going to turn to stuff like this in the future. Okay, with that said, anything you want to add to stocks to watch or stuff that goes on sale or any concepts on things to look at? I like to look at the 200-day simple moving average on a daily chart. I also like to look at missed monthly pivots. Those are two things that I like to look at.
The biggest thing that bothered me is all night last night, people were blowing me up. Chicken Little, sky is falling. We're going to lose all our money. To me, that's like when I start seeing that, that's the biggest opportunity. I was excited coming into the day today. I think you knew from the first moments we started talking this morning that today was just going to be an awesome trading day. And for lots of my followers, it was. I think several of your followers, it's been a great day. It's just a matter of getting your mindset right.
Yeah.
A day like today is the day to get excited and be positive, not dwell on the problems that you have no control over.
There's a lot to be said for that. So for those of you that know who Nassim Taleb is, Universa Capital is his hedge fund. Not a lot of people know about this. So Universa Investments is Nassim Taleb, and it's not a surprise that he's got a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche on his website. What in the world? This guy is the author of The Black Swan, and he makes billions of dollars. He makes billions of dollars from tail risks. So he makes billions of dollars from market crashes that happen only once every 2 years, once every 5 years, once every 10 years. He made a boatload of money in the financial crisis. He made $1 billion or more in the COVID crash, and he made money recently. And what he does is he buys tail risk. So he loses money consistently every day and then makes a ton of money during the crashes or volatility. And that is a very, 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 very unauthorized summary of what he does. And I think that there's an optimistic flip side of that, mirror image of what Nassim Taleb is. So if Nassim Taleb is the angel of death, I think Jeffrey and others like him and me are the flip side. For some of you who have been unprofitable consistently, what you might consider doing, and this is heretical, and this is something to consider for those of you that haven't had the consistency that you would like. You might only trade once a year or twice a year when something big like this happens. And I cannot overemphasize enough what Jeffrey said. Today was a day to wake up excited about opportunities in the market and somber about world events and ready to help where you can. But take advantage of other people's fear and ignorance. It's just the way it is. You want to be greedy when others are fearful. And you might just stop actively trading for a while unless there is a fantastic, gargantuan buy opportunity that you see. I'm just saying, I agree with Jeffrey. And of all the days to sort of scare yourself out of the market, this would be the last of them in recent memory even. So with that said, I want to move on to the final element of today's presentation. I want to wrap it up. I want to ask, and so I'm going to list that stock, lithium. How can I help? So what are some relief organizations doing work to help citizens of Ukraine. So can you post those in the chat and then we'll take a look here. And I would love to hear what you have to say and give me some ideas. Well, not a lot of ideas coming through, Jeffrey. I don't know. If you have some ideas, you can hit me up. And then what I would like to do today is just personally maybe do some work. Food pantries. I don't know of any food pantries in Ukraine, so I'm specifically talking about that. So if you have any ideas on that, I'm pretty sure the Red Cross is going to move in, and UkraineRelief.com might be an organization. So let's check that out. Kevin doesn't trust most NGOs. Kevin, while you're on the sidelines worrying about whether an NGO is a puppet for George Soros, there are people suffering, and I would just, not everything is a conspiracy. All right, buddy? I love you, man. Ukraine Relief. This doesn't even look like a website, so we're not going to go there. My friend Roger Scott's family is from here. I don't know what this one is. I'm going to pull up this website that just came through. I don't know what this is. Helping Hand for Relief and Development. Samaritan's Purse. So keep them coming, folks. I want to do some stuff here. Even if 50% of my donation goes to line the pockets of George Soros and the other 50% goes to help people get out of a country that's being invaded, I'm going to do that anyway. And I think now is not the time to, like I said, I think now's the time to look for ways to get along with people and look for compromises, and not take such a hard tack. No disrespect to anybody, but it's time to step up and show where you can get along as opposed to where you can't. If you don't have any money and you can't make any donations, what I would strongly encourage you to do, and I would hope that you would do, is look for somebody in your life with whom you've disagreed, with whom you've argued, with whom you've called a liar, with whom you have absolutely taken a hard tack. So today would be a day for Mitch McConnell to reach across the aisle and shake hands with Nancy Pelosi. That I know that some of you out there have really strong political opinions, and that's divided us. I know that it's really easy to sort of let the COVID situation tear us apart as opposed to bring us together. And I would assume that that's exactly what some people would love. Look for someone in your life that you don't necessarily always agree with. Look for family members or people that you can extend a hand to. Now more than ever, it's time for people to maybe do more, to look for ways to get along and do less arguing and digging their feet in the sand and claiming to be right about everything. It's just off-putting, and nobody needs that anymore. And if I've done that with you, and if I owe you an apology, reach out to me. I'm ready to offer it. Jeffrey, I love you, brother. You've done so much to help traders. You've done so much to help me as well. And I appreciate you stopping by today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I agree with everything you said pretty much too. So I'll see you again tomorrow morning for the live trading we always do.
All right. Well, we'll get this. So those of you who care to rewatch it, except for my diatribe on trying to get along, you can rewatch it, and we'll see you all soon. I love you all. Be safe. Let me know how I can help. Bye for now.